Today I'm going to talk about 12 qualities that every beginner homesteader needs to have. And I'm saying this as a beginner homesteader myself. Hi, I'm Katie. And if you have always dreamed about buying a plot of land, building a home, and turning into a homestead, then this channel is for you, especially if you're a homemaker or a stay-at-home mom. To get right in, I do want to just quickly mention, because this post is a little bit longer than what I typically do, I'm going to break it up into 2 sections. So for this post, I will talk about qualities 1 through 6. But without further ado, let's jump in. So the first quality that I want to talk about is the ability to say no to other plans. Why is this important? Well, plans are going to come up, whether it's, family, friends, loved ones, whoever. And sometimes these plans take either time, money, or both. And sometimes you don't have one or the other to spare. Let's say you have an abundant harvest and you're busy processing all of the different produce that you get from that harvest. You're not going to have a whole lot of time. Or let's say they want to go out to eat at a fancy restaurant that you just don't have the money for. Either way, you're going to have to say no, respectfully decline the invitation. And if you have a hard time putting your foot down and saying no to people, then maybe homesteading isn't the best choice for you unless your circumstances might be different. But again, this is something that I find as a beginner, saying no to people, whether it's money or time, is a quality that I've had to learn. The second quality is having a DIY mentality. Why pay someone when you can just do it yourself? You can watch a YouTube video or just, do your research and figure out how to get that thing done without spending money, paying or hiring someone else to do it. This is definitely true in the situation that my husband and I are in right now. We're currently building our house, and there's a lot of different projects we plan on taking on. And even just the whole process of the house building, usually you hire a GC. And although my father-in-law is a GC, we're taking a lot of things to make it lessen the load, if you will, on his end. So it's a lot of learning and research and just trying to figure out how to do it yourself. And this DIY mentality revolves a lot around food. You're not going to go to the grocery store and buy some summer squash and zucchini. You're going to grow it in your garden, and then you're going to preserve it into a zucchini relish, and you're going to do other things with it. That kind of do-it-yourself mentality is huge, and you need to have that kind of mentality to be successful on your homestead. Next up on the list of qualities is creative and critical thinking. Raise your hand if you've had a plant that has yellow leaves, and so you Google, why is this happening? And then you get a litany of different results from over or underwatering, disease, nutrient deficiencies, so on and so forth. It almost kind of feels like WebMD does a better job at predicting what the problem is. And sometimes it can be really frustrating as a beginner because you're like, what am I doing wrong? So that's why it definitely requires to have that little bit of creative and critical thinking, ruling things out. I don't want to say common sense, but common sense, I guess, applies. And being able to figure out what the problems are and fixing them. And I'm sure with time and experience, this skill is definitely developed, and you'll just know right away why that particular plant is getting yellow leaves. But I feel like it's definitely an ongoing thing because you're always adding, at least in my mind, my hope, my goal, I'll always be adding to the homestead. I'll be taking up a new thing, whether it's sugaring or having bees or ducks. And so there's always going to be those elements of being a beginner at something, or even just improving what you already have. Like if you have a ton of garden beds, maybe you want to install something so there's some type of water system so you don't have to spend the time watering it. Regardless, there's always going to be room for improvements. And so you need to have that creative, critical thinking kind of quality about you to be able to do it effectively. The next quality is having good project management skills. I definitely talk more about this in this video here, where I discuss if building a home for a homestead is right for you. But I think this is something that's really not talked about. You don't really think about project management and homesteading as going hand in hand, but I definitely feel like it does. The different qualities that you need for a project, you would need for a homestead, because let's be real here, a homestead is basically a big project. The fifth quality is having good money management skills. Doing things yourself can be expensive. And I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but when you start, you'll have to invest in different tools and equipment. Let's take, for example, you want to mill your own grain. A Nutri-Mill is pretty expensive, so you can get a cheaper option. Like for me, I have an attachment to my KitchenAid. I will put a link below for that. But it does put a lot of strain on the KitchenAid. And I also use my KitchenAid to knead the dough as well. So if I were to get a machine that is meant for kneading dough, that's built for a little bit better than the KitchenAid, that's also an expense. So at the end of the day, it definitely would have been cheaper for me to just buy flour now that I'm investing this money into milling my own wheat. But at the end of the day, for me, it's definitely worth it for quality and nutrients and so on and so forth. So if you don't have some kind of savings or money to play around with that's designated to building up your homestead, it's going to be a lot harder. Even things like just having raised garden beds, you need to build it out of something. And even if you have, like, let's say, rocks, or you weave like wood to kind of make a structure, like twigs and stuff. Okay, that's free, but now you need dirt. And there's nothing I hate more personally than buying dirt. Regardless, it's an investment. And then you have to either buy the seeds or buy the different fruits and vegetables from a nursery. It's an investment, and it just keeps on snowpiling until you actually are set up. So if you don't have that money to kind of play around with to invest into your homestead, then you might be a little stuck. The last quality that I want to talk about in this section is a willingness to learn. Now, for me, I used to have a 9-to-5 job, and then I transitioned over to full-time homemaking, homesteading. And I have to tell you, when I had that 9-to-5 job, I had no desire to learn new things. And I hands down believe that part of the reason why that was because of the 9-to-5 job. You're working for a good chunk of the day, and then after the day's done, you're seeing your responsibilities. You're trying to get in that workout or spending the extra time making dinner to be healthy instead of just doing takeout. You're seeing to all these other different things, and you just really don't even have the time at the end of it to learn something new, or energy for that matter, because at that point you want to do something mindless, like scroll through social media or watch TV or something that doesn't require any kind of brain power because you're zapped from the day. So if you don't have that willingness to learn, then homesteading is going to be a lot harder, because let me tell you, there's a lot to learn when you're getting into it as a beginner. But that is all I have for you today in this post. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get the part 2 part of this post that I will post, I believe, next week, if not the following. But that's all I have. I hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye.